Cool. Last thing I want to do here is we're going to do a little bit of socialization with him. Now, I'm sure I've asked you this before. Has he really interacted with many other dogs?
When I first got him, we've tried a couple of times. He met like a little tiny pug that he seemed to just sniff its butt a few times and he was okay with it and they went away. But then he met a more bigger, fluffier dog that wasn't so nice, and we got close, and that dog was very like reactive towards him. He got reactive back. We left. Then he saw another dog that didn't want to play, and he kind of lunged at it. But more recently, I have two neighbors that have dogs. One is a smaller dog, white fluffy. The other one looks just like him, but she's like 9 years old, very scrawny, very old, like slow moving. When he first met the 9-year-old dog, he wasn't that reactive. Now he sees it and he's just like super reactive. Yeah.
Okay. And have all of these interactions been on leash, pretty much?
Yes. Every single one.
That makes sense. You know, typically the reactivity is stemmed from the leash, so we may find when we go to do this off leash that he's totally different and he's fine. You know, we may not.
Yeah.
So, has he ever worn a muzzle before?
Yes.
He has. Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't fit very well. I bought one that was too small, then bought a bigger one, but I don't know if I'm putting it on right.
That's okay.
We
have one here we can use. So it's not
he's perfectly okay putting him on.
Sweet. All right. Well, let me grab that first here, and then we'll grab a dog, bring him in. Let this play out for a minute or so here, and then what we'll do is we'll kind of talk about what we're seeing a little bit. I just want to supervise this right now, obviously. Psycho boy. Psycho, stop. have a lot of emphasis to put on things. So here's the thing, right? So our kind of number one goal with socialization initially is to see how much the dogs can kind of figure out on their own. You know what I mean? I think it's extremely important for dogs, especially under socialized dogs, to learn boundaries from other dogs. Because here's the thing, if I'm in a position where I have to micromanage every little thing that he does in order for the social interaction to go properly, that doesn't achieve anything. You know what I mean? I want him to figure out, you know, when he pushes boundaries in that like overly intense way, that he's not going to get anything from the other dogs. They're not going to reinforce that by playing back with him, right? And then on the contrary, when they start to give him a little bit of attitude because he needs to back it off, I need for him ultimately to learn those cues as well. And a part of it is as they do it, you know, I kind of let it play out, because we're in a position where it's safe, nobody's going to get injured or anything like that, obviously. As he started continuing to escalate with it and it started just kind of just getting too much where like he would have needed to just correct him way too firmly in order to get him to stop doing that, obviously. That's where it's my job to then step in at that point. But here's the thing, even all of that, I would not necessarily consider that quote-unquote aggression, right? Aggression to me is like when you have dogs that have true like intent to do harm, right? What I see out of all of that is a dog that's probably almost never been socialized in an off-leash way in his life, right? And two, all of that was just this bottled up explosion of freaking energy from all of the frustration and association with the leash, right? We know how leash reactive he is, we know how leash reactive he was when he first came in here, obviously, and we've done a good job of suppressing that on the walk so he can control himself when he sees other dogs, right? But now, we have two sides of the equation. We have to teach him how to ignore other dogs in places where it's not appropriate to socialize, but then we need to teach him when he's off leash how to actually interact with them, right? So that's kind of addressing the root of the problem. The correcting the reactive behaviors out on the walk is kind of addressing the symptoms of the problem, if that makes sense, right?
Makes sense, yeah.
And here's the thing, right? As soon as we step in and give a correction for it, he's like, whoa, I'm just gonna put myself over here for a minute, you know what I mean? And it went through these fluctuations where like, you know, they were sniffing each other for a little bit, right? And he would just get so amped up. It's like whenever he showed that he was not interested, he would just get like so frustrated and pissed off that he wasn't interested. They just poked him like harder and harder and harder to try to get a rise out of him, where it showed itself in that like aggressive looking display, which absolutely could cause a dogfight, obviously, right? But it's not him inherently wanting to do harm on the other dog, right? Then tack on to, you know, the frustration of the muzzle definitely adds some energy into the mix as well, which is a realistic thing he needs to learn how to work through, obviously. So, what were you saying?
Like my question is, how do people normally socialize their dogs, like without other, I don't know, without other dogs, I guess?
Yeah, there's not a very good way to do, you know what I mean? Like, you have to really have good dogs that you know and trust, right? So like anytime we do socialization with dogs here, we kind of categorize our dogs as like social dogs, supervised social dogs, and non-social dogs, right? And if I have a dog that is anything but a social dog, which is a dog that like under 99% of circumstances are gonna be fine, you know what I mean? I will not socialize them with anything other than a social dog. You know what I mean? So usually I recommend for people, once you've gotten past the initial hurdle, like what we just did would be very difficult, if not impossible, for you to try to simulate at home. Just because like, I've seen this enough times where I know there's nothing really to worry about. I know I can intervene at any point if I really need to. You know, most owners are gonna pull the plug on that well before. Obviously, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I would have definitely, like, right at the start.
100%, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We have, you know, if we're gonna get past these issues with them, we have to really deeply understand them. And the only way we can do that is by safely putting them in these controlled situations and seeing what they're gonna do and seeing how it plays out ultimately. You know what I mean?
It makes sense since he isn't socialized, like, other dogs have to literally say, this is how you would be around other dogs.
This is how you dog. You know what I mean? So, you know, that's kind of a part of it, right?
I just feel bad because he's the one that got chosen to.
He is more than fine. Trust me. You know, and the interesting too that you see in these types of situations is as long as you don't dwell on it, right? Like some owners, like let's say, you know, this were my dog and I saw that and I was like, oh my god, I feel so bad for him. I'm gonna go coddle him and do this and do that. Yeah, that would be drawing attention to like something scary just happened. But look at it. Now he's staring him down and his tail's wagging and he's like, oh, okay, cool. What are we gonna do now? You know. To them, this is normal. You know what I mean? This is not this abnormal thing that's happening. You know, dogs communicate way, way differently than we think they. Mav, no, do not chew my chair though. You know, dogs communicate in ways that we can only interpret. You know what I mean? We don't truly understand. But to them, like I said, this stuff is so normal. So. And this is the first breakthrough that we need. You know, he's off leash now, right? The dog's over there, and he's learned one, you know, that when he is off of the leash, he can move around, he can communicate, right? And he also learned that there are still rules and boundaries associated with it, right? So, I'll give him just like one more minute here, see what we get.
So given what you've seen of him so far, how long do you, I mean, you think it is possible to socialize him, and how long do you think that would take for him to be able to be comfortable around dogs?
This stuff moves quicker than you think that it does, you know? Really, the first time is 100% of the time the most intense, right? Because this is the first time he's doing it. You know, this is the first time we're letting him just open up, get it out of your system, you know? From there, usually the next couple of times that we do it is a good telltale sign on like how fast they're gonna progress through things. And then here's the thing, right? Like every dog, like if he's starting out that intense, there's gonna be some stipulations to how you socialize him, like indefinitely, you know what I mean? Like you're almost never gonna take a severely under-socialized dog and make them just this dog that you never, ever, ever, ever have to worry about under any circumstances, you know? But what we'll see over the next couple sessions is these are the ways that you can go about socializing him in a productive way at home. You know what I mean?